Bueno, good afternoon. Welcome to Dialogues of the Immigrant Village, now in the English version. And I want to send greetings to those who, in their last rally on No Kings, mentioned that you are following the English version of Dialogues of the Immigrant Community. Therefore, thank you so much. Thank you so much for last Saturday come and talk and share that you are listening the podcast. As you know, the Spanish version will be soon up into Spotify, thanks to our sound engineer, Andy Dircio, and also the English version will be up. Then let's start with today. With today, we want to talk about three principal topics. The rally, No Kings Rally. We want also to talk about the article of the Philadelphia Inquirer that is entitled a federal judge blocked Facebook from giving information to the Department of Homeland Security about Monco activists who track ICE on social media. And finally, we want to talk about the importance on family readiness. Therefore, let's start with the No Kings Rally. As you know, last Saturday, October 18, there were about 2,400 rallies across the nation. The principal cities gathered together to protest with a common saying, No Kings. Philadelphia was no exception because it was in Philadelphia when 249 years ago that was the declaration. No kings to rule, no monarchy to rule on the United States, on the burning nation today called United States of America. It was in the city of Philadelphia when a personal estimate, I consider that there were no less than 50,000 people. How I do this? Well, having been trained as an anthropologist and as a journalist in Mexico City, covering the central square of Mexico City, first you count 10 people. And from that 10 people, you can multiply to 100 people. Once that you have more or less the quantity of 100 people, you can count by 10, and then you will have more or less the 1,000 people. After that, you can start to divide in quadrants and to think what will be an approximate population present, number of people attending a rally. In my counting, thinking in the National Independence Hall and the National Constitutional Center that crosses the whole street, plus Market Street and surroundings, no less than 50,000 people attended the rally in Philadelphia. It was massive. It has been many years since I saw a large rally like that, since the Women's March in 2020. This one, I think, is surpassed. And the spirit of the rally, it was with I will say, with a positive spirit of unity and a positive spirit of bringing together a common statement, in which no kings means yes to democracy. It means no to authoritarian actions as are happening now, no to immigration enforcement, no to a military police that has been taking over a local, county, or state police, especially in the cities. Through this time, when we see in the context of the knocking rally, let's remember that this is ending the third week of the federal stop because lack of the approval of the national budget, of the national federal budget. The actual administration has the House the Senate, House the Presidency, and still cannot pass the budget. And why? Because attempts against the health of the country. If the actual budget is passed as it is estimated that 13 million people will lose health coverage and that the premiums of the insurance will come up in great scale. It is so important to understand that the health of the people is in jeopardy if the budget is approved as it is. In a conversation that I had this week, in an informal conversation that I had this week with Congresswoman Dean and Congresswoman Scanlon, I expressed to them the importance of continuing to be firm in their position because the health of the people is jeopardized under the proposed budget by the executive. Therefore, it's very important that the health system should not suffer a retrocess, however, to be strengthened. Falsely, Republicans has been saying that the current health system benefit groups that has never benefit from it, and is in the rhetoric of continue criminalizing the immigrant, especially the immigrant undocumented population and families. The For Knockings rally means also the defense of health, means no to the imposition of one person. And talking about impositions, let's remember that this week we saw how bulldozers destroy the East Wing of the White House, an historical building has been destroyed because the current president wants to build a ballroom. And while he says that it will not be a cost of the taxpayers, that he's putting the $200 million to build it, it is at the cost of history. It is at the cost of inheritance of the whole population. The White House is the house of the people, is the house of the country. And in the way how he's doing it, he's acting like a king. That's why the No Kings rally. Therefore, in the context, it really shows that the rallies make a lot of sense. Secondly, it is interesting that day or the next day, the executive, the president, show a video, he with a crown in a combat airplane throwing excrement on the people on the rallies. The same people that he says he governs, he throws excrement, he throws shit. And that tells us about the authoritarian spirit of the current regime. Some of the results of the rally tell us that in New York there were 100,000 people. Washington D.C., the National Mall, had a large congregation of people protesting there. Los Angeles, they had many major demonstrations through the city. Chicago, it is said that perhaps was the larger march during the weekend. San Francisco, tens of thousands. Boston, they say 125,000. Well, according to other reports, it was bigger than that. Therefore, these are conservative estimates to talk about 7 million people rally this past Saturday in more than 2,700 demonstrations. In Norristown, in Doylestown, it were registered also large groups of people. In Doylestown, they report 4,000 people. And in Norristown, we don't have really a report, but seeing the pictures, it has been one of the largest demonstrations since the pandemic happening here. Also, I want to talk about the way, the festivity spirit of the protesters. To see them with costumes of frogs, dinosaurs, ajolotes, and other animals, giraffes, rallying and marching and showing like a mirror, front to the mirror, the contrast between peaceful marches with militarized policies. And it's exactly these militarized policies that we are against. It is well known that in the last couple of weeks, the presence of ICE continue being a constant in the cities and continue being a constant in the streets, especially in the towns where the immigrant community lives and where the immigrant community develops their lives. It has been during the last 3 weeks that I have been receiving a number of calls of different people witnessing some arrest. Some of them has been family members. That people call me and they say this cousin or this brother-in-law was arrested, and asking for orientation in what to do in that moment. And as we are trying to provide the orientation to the families, it is not easy because every case is different. Therefore, we are encouraging at every family, even when this is hard to do, is necessary to do, to create a plan and to be ready for the worst case scenario. As we know, it's difficult. This is a difficult conversation to have as families, but it's very important that if disgrace comes to your family, you will have already a plan, you will have already powers of attorney, you will have already your assets covered, you will have already decisions taken. That will be a great help also to the organizations that try to help to see that you are not starting from zero. It becomes very difficult for organizations to help when there has not been decisions and plans, especially because it's difficult to connect with the people that has been incarcerated and detained. Therefore, preparation of families, it should be the focus in order to prevent many of the abuses that we are seeing are happening in the community. When the family already sit down, make a plan, with a legal assessment or paralegal assessment, and made possible some of the powers of attorney letters that are needed to move on with their lives, it's very important to do it beforehand than after. To do it after, sometimes it becomes more difficult because one of the loved ones is inside the jail without access to signed documents. Therefore, it's very important in doing so. In coming weeks, I will announce the presence of our paralegal coming here under appointment, and next week we'll start to announce this. The idea is that families can have the access to create a plan for themselves with legal advice. That is an important topic that I wanted to touch today, and I don't have more topics to touch about this week. Just telling you that Diálogos de la Villa Inmigrante is expanding new productions of podcast, and soon we will announce the new podcast called Organicémonos, Organizing Us. Wait for it, because in the coming weeks, Diálogos de la Villa Inmigrante will be only one of the podcasts that weekly we are launching. As you know, we do it every week, but we are launching 2 more podcasts in the coming weeks in that way to continue providing good information and good relation about our community with other communities and to the world. Having said that, I say goodbye and so long from the city of the brotherly love, Philadelphia. This was your friend Obed Arango in Diálogos de la Vida Inmigrante, Dialogues of the Vida Inmigrante in revarte.net. Until the next time, thank you. Stay well. Y que